So let's start. So, hi,
Yeah.
Katie. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so looking forward to getting an update on how your dog Lucy's doing and just sharing her healing journey. It was quite dramatic, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, more good stuff too. I had some updates that were coming from my vet, and I was like, "Oh, I hope they're good," because we had this scheduled. So I was like, and they're really good. So
Okay, good,
yeah,
good. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Lucy, her age, her breed, her personality, just a little, just so we kind of know who you are.
yep, yep. She was sitting on my lap, but she just had lunch, so she's in her crate. Lucy, so I'm Lucy's mom, Katie, and
The
Lucy
most
is
important role in your life,
yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely, definitely. She's 8. She's a miniature schnauzer. She was previously always had been pretty anxious. I mean, me too, actually, but just always, scared of everything and a little bit, never like aggressive or anything, but just very scared of loud noises, kind of cautious. She's always been playful. She's had like a playfulness inside of her, but she's always, even when we would play, she would sort of stop and just go back in her crate, just like she's always been kind of anxious. And then it would have been February of this year. I noticed she had a bump in her stomach, and I thought maybe it was just a hernia or something. Well, at first I thought it was just food in her stomach, and I'm like, that's weird. It sticks out. But then I thought maybe it's a hernia.
Yeah, how did you find me and like
Okay, yep.
what was all that about?
Yep. So I found you through when you browse Reddit, it'll send you recommendations for posts related to either subreddits you're a member of or whatever. And before all of this, before Lucy's diagnosis, I had been doing some more like Joe Dispenza meditations. And I think he had like an updated version of one of his courses that I purchased and was like going through. So I must have been browsing the Joe Dispenza subreddit or something. And then I saw a post from someone saying, my cat has cancer. Does anyone have any recommendations? And then within that post, someone had commented on the Bengston Method, and then you specifically saying that, you're great working with animals and that you had sort of been mentored or, trained in the Bengston Method. So I said, okay. So I looked you up. I think I watched some of your YouTube videos. I bought the little course, or it's like a video that teaches you how to do it. And then do you have a book too? I think I bought your
Yeah,
book and read it. Yep. And then
mhm.
I listened to the two Bengston Method books, the Energy Cure and whatever the other one is. So I listened to everything, and then I saw that you had consultations to see, like, to work together. So I scheduled a free consultation, knew right away, yeah, I want to do.
Yeah, my sense is that it was like hand in glove. It's like it's like your life had already prepared you to do this. And so it was almost like remembering stuff. It wasn't completely new, even though, yeah, it was new, but it was also just you. Like we
Yep,
were able to figure out, not figure out, but attune to your knowing how to do this that I think is lives in the hologram and lives inside us. Yeah.
totally, totally. And I definitely, you talked about, when we would have our sessions, it's like sort of, I don't even remember how you described it, but like open things up or sort of do something with reality. And I definitely felt it. And I felt like it gave me a space to sort of like catch my breath spiritually. If that, yeah, I keep it in there, a bunch of crystals in there. So it's in like a nice sacred spot. But yeah, I cut some up to make little leashes or
Callers.
collars. Yeah, collars for both Bailey and Lucy because I can't leave Bailey out of anything.
No, no, yeah.
Yep.
And
And
I
then I
think I
cut some out.
charged it with the intention of helping the family, which
Yep.
includes you and Bailey
Yep.
and
And
anybody you
helped we
love,
were.
care about. Yeah,
Yep. We were helped.
yeah.
Put it in a piece in my bra. That was the easiest place for me to put
Mhm.
it, as long as I didn't forget. I had a bunch of pieces go through the wash because I'd forget by the end of the day. But yep, so we used the cotton. And then even if I wasn't doing a treatment, if we were sitting on the couch or before bed, sometimes when I wanted to take the pressure off, I would just put their little, I keep wanting to say leash, collars on, and then I change it out. And you can tell, you really can tell when it feels a little like, okay, it's time for a new piece. There's
Like
almost like a,
full.
yeah, because there's
It's,
a lightness when the cotton's light anyway. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a more weightlessness for me, that's how I experience it. It's like a bit more weightless in my hand, almost like my hand feels a bit, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but you can definitely get a feel for it.
so
It's a
the used cotton is heavier or lighter?
Yeah, the used cotton feels a bit heavier.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay,
Yep,
cool.
yep. And that's not the right word. I don't really know how to it almost feels like freer
Dense,
when it's in my hand. Yeah, it feels
denser.
denser when it's used. Yep.
Hmm.
And the stuff that's not used feels lighter than just a regular piece of cotton.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And my
that's just
sense
the
is
way
that if you actually weighed it before and after, it would be the same weight. So what you're picking up
Oh
on
yeah.
is the feeling of weightiness. It's
Yep.
like a extrasensory kind of thing,
Yep. Yep.
you know.
Not bad vibes at all. Not
Like
like,
you can feel
something you
like you
wanna
weigh less or more on other days and you actually appear differently, but if you look on the scale,
Yes.
you might actually be the same weight.
Yes, I am very familiar with that. I'm very I'm like, really? Very familiar with that
Yeah,
concept. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, we use the cotton, all of us still continue to use it, but I ended up actually my bedpost is like a white metal. It's got almost like a design, and I took a couple pieces and like hung them from where I sleep and where Bailey sleeps.
Oh,
And
that's
it's sort of I have
creative.
some like macrame stuff behind it, so it just kind of matches and
Oh, lovely,
I feel
lovely.
like it's nice to have it hanging there before bed.
Like a dream
So
catcher almost or
yes,
something.
she was becoming so playful. Like people, even before we got our test results, when my family would come over and visit her, they were saying, "Oh my gosh, she's the happiest we've ever seen her." And I was
Mm.
thinking, even if the results come back not great, I was so grateful to have these few months where I mean, she was bringing her toy to play with me every day.
Oh,
She
wonderful.
was staying downstairs instead of just running upstairs to her crate all day, like really involved in the family, more confident on our walks. Before that, Bailey was the leader. We're on Bailey's walk basically. But Lucy started sort of sniffing out where she wanted to go and finding these little, I call them side quests on our walks, little trails off to the side. So her confidence was improving and she was, yeah, just being playful, which is all I wanted from her. I just wanted her to be happy. I knew she'd been so stressed before, so seeing her be happy and get back up. I mean, we started walking miles and miles pretty soon thereafter, like pretty quickly thereafter. So she did great. And then, okay, so for the test, after a few months, my vet's expectations. So the regular vets were telling me my options were um, like chemo. And they said if you do chemo, it can maybe get you 6 months. Without chemo, we're looking at 3 to 6 months. And the idea is that this cancer exists at like a microscopic level within the blood. So it gets into like the
Everything.
liver, the heart, lungs, spleen, obviously, but we had that removed. So my own vet was hopeful, but she said she hadn't really dealt with she usually had dogs come to her that were already very sick, and she was hopeful because we had cut it all out basically, but you don't know. So she had recommended testing. It's a blood and a urine test, and of course just like a CBC, like regular testing, but a blood and urine test that basically measures, I think one is called like Oncotect or something, and but they look for like proteins, I guess, or enzymes that would be present if the cancer is replicating. So, based on those results, she would either recommend imaging or not. So, we saw with the first round of course, you're just getting a baseline at the beginning too. So, with the first round of blood and urine tests, everything looked good in terms of like her platelets were high, which is expected when you remove the spleen, but everything else looked really good. Of course, she'd been eating well, and everything had been going well. But the initial, I think it's like a TK1 or something it's called, was a bit higher than they would have wanted it to be. I did do a little research, and it looks like if some of what we were doing, that healing process could potentially stimulate that as well, because like they saw in mice, the tumors would grow and then sort of
Mhm,
shrink,
mhm,
or
mhm.
it would eventually remit. Um, so anyway, based on the initial sort of like baseline
So after
results,
you freaked out, you said, "Okay, well, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad
yeah,
thing. It could
yep,
be
yep.
good."
And she said, let's do an X-ray and an ultrasound, and let's have a um, radiologist review the results too. Like, let's really double check. So we did that, and I went in thinking, I mean, we'll see what happens here. Came back, nothing. They found nothing. And in fact, they had previously seen a spot on her liver. So when they did the first round of imaging before the surgery, they had seen a spot on her liver. And now they couldn't
It's
even
gone.
find that anymore. Yeah, I would say my confidence improved, like confidence in my ability to trust what I would intuit, or,
Mm.
what I would pick up,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
improved. Because sometimes I've never had like
We
a,
played with that, right?
yep,
During the
yep,
sessions, we'd say, "What do you feel?" And you were just like, "I don't know." I'd say, "Just do it," and you did
yep.
it, and you were
And then
accurate.
you realize you're doing it. You're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm doing it, and I've been doing it."
yeah. Or as
Yep,
you would treat, we would both feel something
yep,
simultaneously, and that helped you trust your sense. Because if I was feeling it, hundreds of miles away, and at the very same moment, that was like oh, that feeling that I get when that's actually a real thing. That's not just me, you know, random feeling.
yep. It's very nice to have that sort of feedback. I mean, I
Mm,
love like biofeedback device. Some where you any place you can get some good feedback is like very helpful. So
yeah.
yes, it was really helpful, improved my confidence, and made me feel, I mean, honestly, too, just the act of making a list of things I wanted, I'd always sort of pushed away. I mean, I spend a lot of money. I buy everything I want all the time. So, but I have a lot of shame about it. And I have a lot of shame about wanting things. And so it's so nice to be like, my dog's life depends on me coming up with a list of things that would make me happy. And through that, I have found things that make me happy. I,
Mm,
pursued things for myself. So the first thing on my list was a telescope. So I love space, I love astronomy, I love astrology too. But yeah, the first thing on my list was I wanted a telescope. I wanted a more intimate relationship with the sky, with the planets, with the stars. Now I'm also learning about, deep sky objects and stuff.
mm,
So that was the first thing on my list. And during one of my sessions, you were teaching me how to spiritualize an item on my list. So we took the telescope and put it, I think it was like on a Polaroid, in my like visualize it on a Polaroid, send it out into space, let it fly around Jupiter, come back, and what do I see? And what I saw was, oh, I don't have the pictures here, but it was almost like a dome, like an observatory. And I thought, interesting, because I did have some hesitation. I'm like, I don't know what telescope to buy. I don't know anything about anything. And I think there was some resistance to even getting what I wanted on my list because I didn't know where to start. So then I looked up, I'm in Des Moines, so I looked up Des Moines Observatory, and I saw that I didn't even know there was an observatory. I knew that the university had something. They had some summer public nights, but it was in the middle of the city, and I'm like, it's pretty bright, whatever. So I think I looked up Des Moines Observatory and saw that we had one, like kind of out, not in the middle of nowhere, but close to the middle of nowhere. And that weekend, they had a presentation on choosing your first telescope. So I went out there. I was like, how perfect. I like took my little notebook, sat in the back of the room. All the members were talking about their telescopes and giving you all the options. And I'm taking notes and asking questions. And then I go up to the dome, and I remember the feeling. I think we were looking at like a, was it M13? Basically, it's like a cluster of a bunch of stars. And I just remember the feeling of, and they do talk about, photons are, well, okay. It's a discussion when you talk about astrophotography versus like live observation. And they're like,
mhm,
photons are for eyeballs. And I just remember the feeling of looking through, because they've got these giant telescopes there, and like almost like a thump in the back of my eye when I saw the light from these star clusters from, so far. This is something so spiritual about it. And I came home that night. Okay. And there was a cute boy there. I was expecting everyone to be, because I had seen pictures. I'd done research about the observatory, and I saw everyone's like retirement age. It's a very, you have some disposable income and you're into astronomy.
yeah.
Lots of just retired. There are a few women, but mostly men, over 55, 60. So, okay, anyway, I remember I came home that night after my first night at the observatory, just a meditation where I just laid down and just repictured what I was seeing and just like could almost feel the sensation in the back of my eyes again. And I was so happy. I had such a deep, peaceful meditation. And I was like, this is going to be my thing. This is like a place for me. Saturday nights, I work from home, I hang out at home, I never do anything. Normally, my Saturday nights are like I watch Saturday Night Live when it's on, like that's like my social thing. But I was like, this is going to be my summer, fall, Saturday night thing. But I kept going back and everybody was like so excited. Everyone there loves to, teach you about everything. And so I just like kept getting more information, learning more about the sky. And then I was staying until like some nights I'd stay till 2 in the morning. Sometimes I'd stay till like 5 in the morning, like looking at that's when the good, viewing conditions are just right, and when the sky is nice and dark, and there was the other younger person out there, what became my like human Wikipedia when it came to astronomy, and he has a great setup, and then I ended up buying. I wish I had processed the images. I would show you. Maybe I can grab some here. I'll send some to you. Of I ended up buying something called a Sea Star, which is an astrophotography device. So you set it up, and the images it can capture from even the middle of the city are just like amazing. So I got that. And I was kind of waiting to see what happened with Lucy's test results because I thought if I'm going to have to be dropping thousands of dollars, on more treatments, I don't necessarily need to be spending money on equipment. But when everything came back positive, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to buy my own telescope. So I got my Sea Star, and then yeah, I ended up, like I said, having these long all night conversations with someone closer to my age, not retirement age, closer to my age. And now, yeah, that was totally unexpected. Because I remember when you had said, I think it was maybe during our sessions or maybe during one of the Facebook Lives. Oh, because that's the other thing. I've been attending all of your Facebook healing sessions.
Hmm.
Um, which I found really, really nice. And sometimes I would even go to the sanctuary myself, and picture it's nice. It's nice to have that place in your head that you can go to. But um, what was I saying about that? I lost my train of thought. But anyway, you had been talking about, imagine if you want to love her someday and you're just like picturing laying on their chest and I remember thinking, no way, no way. Relationships do not work for me. They have all been the same. They have all been so painful. That is not what I want. Of course, some part of me wanted it. And I'm learning more and more the things I wanted. And a lot of things I had on my list now seem even more possible and even more realistic. Or I've heard other stories that are sort of inspiring or met other people that are inspiring me. But yeah, that's what I ended up with now. Not at
Yeah,
all what I expected. It definitely, I got things I didn't know I wanted. It's, totally different. And um,
it kind of opened the door. I think it helped you relax. I think it helped both
yeah,
you and Lucy relax.
like if you are coming across this information, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
It's for a reason. And yeah, it is hard, like you said, if you try to tell someone to relax in the beginning, whatever, but just take the information that they say there's beginner's luck is a real thing. I think that was really helpful
I
for
hope.
me to know because
Yeah.
it
And
almost
you can
helps you
do it when
hedge
you're
against it.
nervous. You were nervous for the first
Yep.
many, many,
Yep.
many sessions, and I don't
Yep.
think it interfered at all.
No. And I tried to use that. I tried to use even negative emotions as, like juice to
To fuel
for
the
my image
healing.
cycling stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I would say just like do it. And I don't it's tough because I don't want to say like don't have an expectation, but don't just see it and like just trust that like your life's gonna change and you may not know how. It may change in ways that you didn't even expect and you couldn't have even imagined.